Summertime is here, guys. Here in England we've had a lovely couple of weeks, beautiful weather, and I haven't been making many videos because there's not really much to talk about once you reach levels of non-duality in your spiritual awakening process, because you realise that whatever you teach, everybody's going to find out anyway, and you realise there is no good or bad to anything that happens. Everything just is, and everything you once thought was good also has a bad side, and everything you once thought was bad also has a good side. And when you realise that, you kind of realise there is no good or bad no matter what happens, because everything happens just to teach us lessons. And the biggest lesson overall we can learn in this reality we're in now is the non-duality, which is, it basically leads to a point where you can live the life you want to live and do whatever you want to do, and really enjoy life, knowing that nothing will ever affect you again. No matter what happens, nothing will ever affect you again. So you've got to a point where you've kind of you've removed all your karma, you've paid back all your karma. Anything you've ever done in the past always comes back and catches up to you in one way or another. You realise that however you make another person feel, whatever the reason, somebody will come and make you feel that. And that goes for all karma, even revenge. Even if you think that somebody does something bad to you and you want to get revenge on that person, but the very fact that you want to get revenge on that person means you haven't overcome your karma yet, because that whatever you make that person feel, you're going to get again. So it's like a constant cycle of karmic events until you realise that whatever you do, there's always consequences to it. And I think the issue is, a lot of people, well, it's not really an issue because we're all here to learn, but there's many people in the world, probably 99% of the world, don't understand the wheel of karma and how it works. So they're all still stuck in this duality of good and bad. And of course, when there's good and bad, the ego then takes over, which creates a lot of issues and problems in your life which don't really need to be there. Because once you realise this, you can then take everything as neither good or bad. So you realise that whatever you want to do, whatever you do, you're kind of at peace, because you realise what you're doing has a good and a bad, and it neither is good or bad. This is the paradoxical nature of reality. And I guess that's why I haven't been really making as much content now, because whether I make content is neither good or bad either, you see. So when you reach this level of awareness, you realise that you don't really need to try anymore. All you need to do is follow your highest joy, and whatever you feel like doing that day, just go and do it. And when you do this, your highest joy kind of takes over in your life, and it brings everything to you anyway. Even if you want to say make money, if you're following your highest joy, the universe will bring a way of making money by doing what your highest joy is, you see. So the only thing left is love and joy, and you no longer have any karma, because anything you've done in the past, you've already paid for your karma. Because the paradoxical side of that is, if you hadn't already paid for your karma, you wouldn't realise this, you see. So you have to get to levels of self-love and harmlessness where you no longer create any karma for yourself. And once you reach those levels, that's when you no longer have the distraction of negativity, because you realise there is no longer any negativity or positivity. So you no longer have that distraction which takes you away from love, which takes you away from self-love and joy in the present moment. And the non-duality goes way further than that, guys, because you realise everything's paradoxical. Absolutely everything is paradoxical. And when I say this, you might come back at me and say, well Lee, where's the good in a plane going down and killing 200 people? And the way I would describe this is there is equal good and bad in that as well, and it's also neither good or bad, because obviously, like I've said in previous videos, if that plane goes down, then you value your life better because of it, because you were not on that plane. And it makes us as humans realize the value of life. And the more times we see things like that happening, the more our internal love grows. Well, in some people it does. In others, they may get angry, you see. They may think that the plane went down because the plane company weren't rigid enough with the health and safety rules, etc. But the paradox in that is that if the plane didn't go down, if there was no accidents, health and safety would not be a thing anyway, you see. So these are the type of things you start realizing in everything. Once you reach the non-dualistic level, you realize that everything is happening exactly how it should, for a specific reason, and it's all to learn lessons and grow, and get to levels where there is no good or bad anymore, and your ego kind of diminishes, and you just all you have left is love and joy. And when you have love and joy, then that's when your life starts to get better in this reality. Now, I'm not saying that's the end of it, because it never ends, okay? The evolution process never ends, because once you find non-duality, you then start to realize how to use joy to create anything in your life. You start to realize how to create anything you wish you want to happen in this physical reality. You can then make happen with the power that you have in your hands, because everybody has the same power. Just most people don't know how to use it correctly, you see. And you'll no longer cause harm anymore. You'll do everything in a harmless way, because you realise, obviously, that whatever you give out, you get back. And you realise how to see all humanity as yourself, because basically all humans are you, because everything's a reflection of you. So once you reach these kind of levels in consciousness, you no longer have enemies. And even if an enemy does come again at some point, you'll be thinking to yourself, like, why is this happening? Okay, let's say, for instance, this happened to me not long ago. Someone, an old friend, started accusing me of things in the past that just didn't happen. So he's obviously got the wrong information, and he started accusing us of things, saying, you've done this to us, you've done that to us, this and that. And I had no idea what he was talking about. And I was thinking to myself, well, hold on, I've eradicated all my karma, so why is this happening? I no longer harm anyone. I reached a level of harmlessness quite a while ago, so I was thinking to myself, why is this happening? And then when you really dig into it, you can go right back, say 10, 20 years ago even, and you can see the things that you did then with a specific person or in a specific scenario that weren't quite right. And when you realise this, you realise, hold on a minute, was those decisions I made back then affecting anybody else? And you realise that some of the decisions we make when we're younger do affect other people in negative ways, but we're blind to that, you see, because we're selfish. We've got an ego back then. And this is why you have to go through the ego process to eventually find non-duality. But you realise that all those little actions, no matter how small, subsequently affect many others. It's like a tree, it all links and it affects others. So you realise that any actions you did previously, like years ago, however that affected anybody because of those actions, then come back on you. This is why the karmic cycle, there's no such thing as time, you see. Karma doesn't just happen instantly all the time. Karma can sometimes take 10, 20, 30 years, even more, to catch up to you. And it can come in ways which you don't expect. I mean, let's say you do something bad when you're younger. The karmic effects of that are not going to they're not going to just manifest in the same way. They're going to manifest in a totally different way, but they're going to cause the same level of energy that you caused to them other people years ago, you see. So this is how the karmic cycle works. And you have to go through this to kind of realize self-love and to find God. Because lately I've been speaking to God, because I realized that although in previous videos I've said that we are God, okay, but there's also a paradoxical side of that, because we're not God as well, you see, because everything is not this or that. Everything is this and that. Now, this is the biggest key in your spiritual process. You realize that everything is this and that. There's no either or anymore when you reach a non-dualistic state of consciousness. Everything is all inclusive, and you realize that everybody out there is you as well. You see, so you no longer treat people the way you don't want to be treated yourself. And this is one of the biggest lessons. But if you're still angry about something, or seeking revenge, or seeking to hurt somebody, you're still on that karmic cycle, and it's still going to continue. Bad things are going to keep happening to you constantly until you come out that karmic cycle and find love and forgiveness. And when you find the love and forgiveness, you can then look back on your life and forgive yourself and forgive others for everything they've done, everything you've done. And that forgiveness, which has to be both, because that's paradoxical as well, you can't just forgive somebody, you've got to forgive yourself as well for whatever happened in the past. When you reach that level of awareness, that's when it all levels out. Okay, but there's no shortcuts to spiritual evolution. Anything you do has consequences. Those consequences will come back on you again and again and again in the karmic cycle until you eventually pay back anything that you've done. So whatever you sow will reap. I think that's how some people talk about it. Whatever seeds you plant will grow. Okay, and you have to be 100% responsible for that. This is why spiritual awakening, when you get to these higher levels, it's a very, very, very big responsibility, because you have to be conscious of every single little decision, every single thing you're doing. You have to be really conscious of this, and it's a big, big responsibility. Okay, because you know that whatever you do can subsequently affect many, many people. One little thought, one little decision has consequences. And when you reach a level of harmlessness, you realize you have to really think about every decision you make and how it's going to affect everyone around you. Okay, everyone around you. This can go into every little detail of your life, guys, like literally. But going back to the God realization that I've been having recently, because I always just thought of myself as God, and I just thought God is everyone, which is true. But because of the paradoxical nature of reality, God is everyone and he's separate at the same time. So if God is everyone, but he's also separate at the same time, or it is also separate at the same time, then eventually you'll get to a point where you realize everything is divine and everything is happening the way it should be. And you can then start communicating with this higher power, which is everything, because you have to admit you're not everything. You see, you're just one aspect of everything. And this is the key, guys, because when you realize you're just one aspect, but you're not the all, okay? Well, you are the all, but you're not as well, you see, so you have to realize that paradoxical side. But when you go along the lines of you're not the all continuously, you can then communicate with the all, which is God. And when you communicate with the all and start praying to God, start talking to God, God, because it is the all, can then manifest, you see. And this is a part of the law of action, because as with anything in this reality, if you don't take action, nothing happens. And part of that action is just a thought. Another part of that action is just speaking. So even just speaking to God, asking him for support, for help, you'll notice that'll start manifesting in your life, and God will start bringing everything you need to you constantly. And this is the what I've been doing recently. I've been asking God to help, and God will create the circumstances and the events which will affect people's consciousness around you to change in specific ways, so that everybody else can learn a lesson, and so can you. And God will support you because you've now eventually learned the majority of these lessons. And the more lessons you learn, the more higher up the spiritual evolution ladder you go, the more power you have to control reality. And part of that power is the communication with the all, which people call God.